Hi, everybody. This is Bobby.
It's Brian.
And this is Paul.
And we are Support and Resistance. This is episode number 7, guys. We should be proud.
Yeah. Lucky number 7.
Oh, it is. Right.
Yeah. I like playing craps, like rolling the dice. So I got to roll 7.
That's right. So we're almost 2 months into this gig. And, we brought this channel together, everybody. Almost 5 decades of industry experience. We believe information should be free. And so that's why we come together to put this channel, online. And we believe that, data should be objective and honest. And that's what we're here for, is to provide you that information. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Paul.
All right. Awesome.
Well, I am going to run through a few fundamental things so that sort of set the scene for what you guys are going to be talking about. I'm going to actually share my screen because I want to run through a few tabs. And let me see if I can get the right screen up there. Okay, I should be sharing my screen. I don't know if it's showing up on the channel or not. Hopefully it is. And I got to pull it up just to make sure. There it is. Yep, that's the one. So I was telling Brian and Bobby this just a second ago. We've crossed 5,300, especially on Brave New Coin. Now, I don't know what the other websites are saying, but Brave New Coin is saying that we've crossed 5,300. So it's pretty exciting.
Coinbase is at 5,302 right now.
5,302?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so the reason I bring that up is because if you look at it over the last, that's 24 hours. Let me see if I can expand that. I can get there. Yeah, so over the last 7 days, Bitcoin is actually up 4.88%, and in the last 30 days is up 31%. So it's pretty exciting. The dominance is at 51.99. Do you guys know that we haven't dropped below 50 this year? I don't think.
Below 50 what?
Dominance. So the BTC dominance tells you how much money is in Bitcoin versus everything else.
We haven't dipped below 50 at all.
I don't think so. I don't think we have.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I got a couple other statistics for you. So I don't know how many folks know this, but Bitcoin is unrestricted in 112 countries. And so I find that very interesting. Actually, it was 111 and it popped to 112. I don't remember the news coming about who the next one was, but we got 112 countries where it's unrestricted.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that map. It's a cool map to watch.
It really is a cool map because all these little red spots means that no Bitcoin there, no Bitcoin, no Bitcoin, no Bitcoin. But in all the green, there is a lot of Bitcoin.
Oh, there's Bitcoin in those red. They're just hidden.
And why is that, Brian?
I'm just saying it's just being done illegally.
Right.
Within that country realm.
Right. And the reason is because guess what? Bitcoin cannot be censored, right? It's censorship, decentralized currency. And so no matter what happens, as Brian just stated, still Bitcoin going on there, even though they say it's not allowed. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the way I look at this map is every time you see a country go green, I look at it as like a modern day arms race. Nice. So if one country is going to do it and it's going to boom and bring that country dollar, money or currency or just building and technology and all that, other countries are going to want to do it too. So it's kind of this fight to stay ahead of the other. This way, I kind of look at it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's what's happening is if one's going to do it, we better get in because we're going to get behind the times.
Exactly. So the next one I want to bring up, and these are all stats that should be very interesting to everybody. This website is a great website. It's called bitnotes.earn.com, and it's showing you how many nodes are actually up running the Bitcoin network. Here's the interesting thing, though. We're actually down on the nodes. And earlier today, I actually documented the nodes, and we were at 94.51, and it's been dropping. It's 94.23. If you were on my Crypto Watch brief, you would see this every Saturday. But I went back almost 2 months, and this node count has been dropping every week. I don't know what that means. I tweeted out to somebody, but I'm like, what's going on with Bitcoin? Why are the nodes going off? But for some reason, it keeps dropping.
Okay, the nodes are going down, but I'm reading things that the amount of activity is going up. Is it taking less nodes to do more activity?
I'm assuming I put the word out there and asked folks about it, trying to understand what's going on. But apparently, like I said, I've been tracking this every Saturday when I send out the brief, and we were at like 10,751. I think it was the highest, and now we're all the way back down to 94.23. So I might do some more research.
Okay, because the way I was looking at the analogy. I'm from the energy industry, so I always kind of think that way because I've been in it for so long. Like just efficiency. We used to drill for oil here in the United States all over the place, but we got more efficient and we found ways to do it in an efficient way that takes less wells to get more oil. So I'm just wondering if that's the case. Like the nodes are becoming so much more performance based that they're a lot more efficient. So it takes less to get more activity. I don't know. Yeah. It'd be something to kind of check out. Because if it drops down to 8,000 nodes, but we're pumping out 70 million a day in activity or something. I don't know what the numbers are, but that would be kind of interesting to follow. I might follow up on that a little bit.
It really will be.
Did it have anything to do with Venezuela, like some of the power outages they were having down there?
That's a good point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
Actually, this map that you have of the nodes, that map of the nodes makes me think of that movie War Games. You remember that game when they would blow up nuclear missiles on both sides of the country?
Right.
Like boom, 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 like all the bombs going off. For some reason, when I first saw that map, I thought of War Games. Would you like to play a game? You guys know what movie I'm talking about, right?
I think I've seen it.
With Matthew Broderick, was it? Like when he was young?
Right.
I don't know. I'm old, so you guys probably like, what the hell are you talking about?
What I find interesting too is if you look at this map, there's really nothing in Africa except for down southern Africa, but everything else is really the UK and the US.
Yeah.
All right. So the next thing I want to show everybody is the Lightning Network. Of course, these numbers have been going up every week. It's been green every week, and all of a sudden I looked at it today, and we've got some red on the screens now. So I think the Lightning Network has hit a plateau for right now, and now we're starting to see it pull back a little bit. But as you can see, the number of nodes is actually up 7% from where it was before, and I think this is done on a weekly schedule. Oh, wait, hold on. I can tell you in a second. Past 30 days, sorry, in 30 days. So it's a 30-day running number. So 7% 30 days is down 2.8% for the number of channels. And that's even lower than where it was when I documented earlier today at 2.1. And then we're down 1% on the network capacity. And that's about the same. So, but we're still over 1,060 Bitcoin as far as network capacity.
Do you know what the node countdown is?
The node countdown? No, unfortunately, I don't. But
okay, well, that's cool. I don't know what that was, so I was just curious.
Countdown to 1 million. Maybe that's it says maybe it's the number of nodes, but it's not because we got 8,000 nodes, and that one's 991,000. So
yeah, and it says it's an arbitrary milestone, so it's just something that you're just kind of
you
throw up some balloons in the sky when it gets to 1 million.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I'm gonna check it out though. I'll report back on the next show. And then the last sort of stat that I want to give everybody is this stat, which is from Predicoin. They do a really good job at tracking a lot of metrics. This market sense score is a combination or a sum of the news sentiment, social sentiment, and buzz. So from those three, they calculate the market sense score, and it's at 5.2. The highest I've seen is at 5.5. That was last week, and so it's dropped a little bit. Again, the impact of this number and what does it mean if it's at 10? I'm assuming it means that the market's really rallying hard. That's because the news is all positive. The social sentiment that you see on Twitter and everything's all positive, and the buzz that's being generated as a result of it is positive. But this is a really cool site, Predicoin. You guys should check it out. It's really good if you're into metrics and understanding how to track all the different numbers.
That's interesting. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I've jumped on Predicoin a bunch of times. It's a pretty cool site.
Good. So
if you like numbers, it's the place to be.
Right. So that gets done with the stats. I just want to touch on, maybe about 5-6 articles real quick, just to talk about some of the big items that happened during this week. The first one was, of course, this one I couldn't resist, but making it the first one, federal regulators shocking disclosure. They make it seem a little bit more dramatic than it is. Bitcoin isn't the tulip mania. Now, that was something that was said by Michael Gill. He's the chief of staff of the CFTC. And toward the bottom of this article, you'll see where he says that this wasn't the tulip mania. He added, there is something behind this, which anybody in crypto knows. Of course we knew something was behind this. If you read the white paper, you know something was behind this. It's not the tulip mania. What do you guys think?
Oh, I mean, absolutely not. I mean, I don't even know why they try to compare, this tulips to Bitcoin. I mean, just take I'm trying to think of some of the aspects of of Bitcoin versus tulips, like divisibility, for instance.
Right.
I mean, that's just one. I mean, of course, we can devise what Satoshi's down to, what, 100 million or how many decimal points, I can't remember. But you can't rip up a tulip bulb. I mean, seriously. And then what's another one? Durability. I mean, come on, excellent on durability for Bitcoin versus there is no durability with tulips. They last like a day before they're dead. So I mean, so you got those. Cognizability? I mean, seriously, if Bitcoin shows up in your Bitcoin address, it's Bitcoin.
That's right.
I mean, I've been in arguments with people with this tulip thing before, so it's in my head.
Right.
And then another thing is if you get something in your wallet, it's Bitcoin. If you get a tulip bulb, you're not going to know what the hell color that is. There's no. I mean, it is the dumbest argument of our time. So I'm really, really, really relieved that the federal regulators came out and told me.
That's right, exactly.
But it is cool that they're, kind of coming along and saying, "Hey, this is not tulip. There is something to be had here." So
true.
Well, I hope so. At this point, they've authorized futures and all sorts of other different products.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's right.
I don't know. That tulip thing just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
The tulip thing is just a catchy, I think.
It's a catchy way to show a market bubble.
Right.
Well, right on the heels of that, the news came out that there's 94% of surveyed endowment funds are allocating to crypto investments. And this was actually interesting because you've actually got, and I've heard this from some of my other friends who run hedge funds, they're talking to endowments as well. They are actually putting money in. But the interesting thing about this, and I tell everybody, is that look at when this was done. This report came out in Q4 of 2018, which means they were talking to them in the middle of 2018, which means they've been doing this as the market's been pulling back. So it's really interesting to see that endowments have been piling in when it was coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mike Novogratz, he kind of gave us the early indicator, right? In early 2018, I think he said, the herd is coming. He's, so yeah, they've been here already. They're just buying everything kind of OTC under the table, and that's probably one reason why it hasn't reflected in prices. So.
Exactly. I mean, that's what Jonathan Watkins, right? He's managing editor at Global Custodians. He said all the talk over the past 18 months has been around when institutional investors will begin participating in cryptocurrency investment. But it turns out they had already arrived in the form of the endowment fund.
That's awesome. Everybody's talking about, well, is the institutions ever going to come in?
Right.
Yeah, they've been coming in the last year.
Right, they've been in. Right. And now they're ready to pump this thing to heavens. They're like, let's bring it on, people. Let's go. It's time to move.
Yeah, and looking down in that article, they use the term cautiously optimistic. They must have been reading my my last couple of videos or watching my last couple of videos, because that's the way I've been approaching this market too, is cautiously optimistic. And I think they're doing the same thing. So I think a lot more people, get rid of the cautiousness as we go on. It's I think it's getting there. It's getting there.
These institutional players, though, they're not really concerned about buying the absolute bottom like a lot of us traders are wanting to do.
Or get as close to the bottom as possible. Yeah.
Right. They're more concerned about the technology and sustainability and the bigger trend. You know, they're looking at things on a year-to-year basis, not day-to-day or month-to-month. You know, and so they probably saw huge opportunities in 2018, right? And a lot of signals, and yeah, so it makes sense.
Does.
Yep.
So the third article is, this is a great one too, Satoshi's Treasure. It's a global puzzle with $1 million Bitcoin prize. And they have already said someone has already found the first key. I think they found it within the first day or something like that. So
nice.
Yeah, very interesting. I don't know. Did you guys?
I'm with you, Paul. You said the other day, maybe you said it on a tweet or something. You wish you had time to get into this, and I'm with you, because I'm like, I don't have time to do this, but I would love to be on a team and just start piling in and working on that thing. It'd be awesome.
Exactly. And here's the thing.
Cool.
You have to be a global team, though, because you have to be there physically to get whatever the prize is or get whatever key it is. From what my understanding that is that you have to be at the physical location. So it's going to require a global team to make this happen.
All right. Well, if anybody's out there listening, I know I got friends in Budapest. I got friends out in UK. I got people in Australia. Hey, hit me up. I'll join the US squad if you guys are doing something.
That's right.
I love it. I like the reference to Ready Player One, the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so the next one is about the largest travel management firm in the UK is accepting Bitcoin. I will caution everybody on these statements like this in these articles. While it sounds super, super exciting and cutting edge, it sort of isn't. And the reason is that basically they partnered up with BitPay, right? So here's the thing with BitPay. You can take your crypto, you can go to this travel company and say, book me a flight with Corporate Traveler, and they'll say, okay, and they'll accept the Bitcoin. But really, BitPay is accepting the Bitcoin and then giving them cash. So they never, ever touch Bitcoin. So it's really not really using Bitcoin to purchase travel. You're using fiat currency still because BitPay is playing the middleman. But they give you the ability to do it, I guess. That's my only beef with any of these. Anytime you hear someone saying they're accepting, especially these large corporate players, accepting Bitcoin, they're not really accepting Bitcoin. They're accepting fiat.
Right. They're just translating it from Bitcoin into fiat, right?
Immediately.
Yeah. Right.
Literally immediately. Like I said, it never even touches their registers. It goes through BitPay, and BitPay then sends them cash. So BitPay is just the middleman, it's unfortunate. I wish some of these companies would start accepting actual Bitcoin, but
but maybe it's a baby step. I mean, maybe it's just like they're trying it out, see how it works.
Yeah. So do you guys know, does BitPay obviously they charge a spread, okay, to do that translation from Bitcoin to US dollar or whatever. So do they keep like a micro percentage of Bitcoin each time one of these transactions goes through? And are they building like a huge treasure chest of Bitcoin through all these? Or
I think they are.
How's okay.
I think they are. I don't have all the ins and outs of it, but I think they do keep, BitPay actually do keep some, I think, in actual Bitcoin. They don't convert all the cash. That's my
business. It's a good business, good business plan for them.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah. And BitPay, of course, works with everybody. As you see down in the article, BitPay, for its part, recently reported that it's over $1 billion in transactions last year. And according to January press release, the firm set a new record in terms of transaction fee revenue, having expanded services to major customers like Dish Network, HackerOne, and of course the state of Ohio. How many people are paying their taxes in the state of Ohio with Bitcoin? I don't know. I don't think it's that many, but at least they got $1 billion in transactions, so they must be doing something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not paying your taxes.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is this one. Bitcoin disrupts France's massive $2.5 trillion life insurance market. Again, another one of these things that I just think is amazing. If you look right here where this quote is, look at what they said. With these two provisions, it is written in black and white that SPFs can invest in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. So what it is these insurance companies can now actually take and invest directly into Bitcoin, which is shocking, but it's happening. Now, how much of it, how much are they actually putting? I don't know. But that's what it's saying.
Yeah, and it says the Bitcoin integration more than a year in the making. We just talked about the endowments working over the last year, as institutions come in. We got this going on. And then you started off talking about tulips. I mean, everybody's thinking this is a bubble. No, it might have came off the parabolic, but there is so much going on behind the scenes, and that's what pumps me up. That over this last year, I don't care where the price is, the technology is being built that the future is going to be so much more supportive, and that's what pumps me up. So when you see articles like this over this past year, there's so much going on, it's unbelievable.
It really is. When you start operating at this level where you're actually, up here, they're actually changing acts and articles to accommodate for purchasing of cryptocurrencies. It's like, guys, this is gonna, when it blows, it's gonna blow. It's gonna be unbelievable.
They're getting shit done. They're voting stuff in.
Exactly.
It takes a lot to get something voted in these days.
Yeah. I told a lot of people, I said, think about this. If this is taking them 18 months, a year, what are people talking about behind closed doors today? That's all of a sudden going to become news tomorrow. It's going to be unbelievable.
Oh, that's what I get all crazy about. Just waiting for that news item to come out. Oh, by the way, we've been working on this last 3 years, and bam! Who knows? It could happen anytime.
Yep.
Yeah, I have friends that ask me all the time, "Hey, when's the right time to get in? What's the signal you're looking for?" I'm like, just go to Cointelegraph.com. It's all over the place.
That's right. Okay, and the last one is this one. It's a really good one. It's ING Bank trials bulletproofs blockchain solution for turning banks' BTC transactions invisible. This is another one that's really, really interesting and pretty cool to see that ING is actually going to implement bulletproofs to keep their transactions private. If this actually works and this grows on a larger scale, this again, like I told many people, brings people back to sort of like Bitcoin, right? Because people say, well, Bitcoin's not private. Well, if you implement bulletproofs with Bitcoin, it does become private. So then what about the privacy coins? Do you need them anymore? Technically, you don't. So it's going to be interesting to see how they implement this technology. And if they do use it, will we eventually see everything come back to Bitcoin blockchain once again? Possible.
Yeah, I'm a big fan because one of the whole reasons I'm in this space is for privacy. And when you come up with things where I can become a member of something and I don't have to, and I can do it without ID.
Yep.
I'm game. I'm on board. I like that, to where you can get in and have the privacy if you need it.
Yep.
So the zero knowledge proofs are a pretty interesting concept.
Cool. All right, folks, I'm back on screen now because that's all the news I have for you today.
All right, short the bank shirt, like it.
Yep.
And I'm wearing a long Bitcoin, short the bankers.
Ooh,
little pump
shirt, nice.
Little pump shirt, yeah. So
I didn't get the memo. I'm wearing a tool shirt.
What a cool shirt. Oh, Brian, you're awesome. Love it. Okay,
what do we got next?
Shout outs.
Oh, that's right.
All right, who's going first?
I think Bobby.
I can go first if you want. Let me share my screen here. So, disclaimer on this shout out. It's a project that started back in 2017. They're called Matrix. I did participate in the ICO, so just a disclaimer on that. But I don't have anything that's, I wouldn't call it like a monumental holding or anything. But mainly, the reason why I wanted to give them a shout out is because to be honest, I kind of forgot about the project and that I did participate in the ICO back in 2017. I just went out to CoinMarketCap just to see if they were even around anymore. And because the price did tank like 93% from the high.
Wow.
So, they're pretty much went to zero, right? And the thing that turned me on about this project was just their whole idea about getting different universities, specifically, and scientists and engineers, kind of creating this blockchain game, or I wouldn't call it blockchain game, but more of a bounty system where people can pose problems, okay, that need to be solved, mathematical problems, science problems, wherever they might be. And people from all over the world can collaborate and come together to solve these problems for real monetary value. And you already see that in the existing kind of university setups where, if there are certain problems that need to be solved, you'll see like universities posting like $1 million prizes and stuff like that. Like, math problems that haven't, like if there's a math problem that hasn't been solved in more than like 50 years, it's you'll see prizes out there, like really large cash prizes out there for people to solve. And so what they've kind of done is done that sort of deal, but on a blockchain kind of solution, so that everything is recorded, immutable, etc. But the thing that I'm really excited about this project is they've diversified in getting into VR, integrating VR technology, and getting a more immersive experience. So I guess when you're wanting to design, molecules and study proteins to create better medicines, and if you think about nanotechnology, how that's going to drive the future of how future things are built, from steel to infrastructure to everything, clothing. It's really remarkable how they've created this ecosystem, this integrating VR technology, so that you can literally go into the different molecules and you can collaborate with other people real time. So you can see here on the screen, this could be like me, Brian, and Paul studying this protein molecule right here. And so it's just really kind of cool concept. They've really expanded despite the prices, collapsing. They're charging on, and they've partnered with universities now, like the UC San Diego, nano engineering department, different science departments as well, industries, and they're really looking to expand to other universities as well. So I think it's a really cool thing. That's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, I would love to see. I mean, I don't know how much they have this out in different companies and different spaces, but like when you see that VR like that, and just say someone's having a health issue, and they can put up all their information, and you can get all the best doctors from around the world to come in and look at the same thing and get diagnosis for people and stuff. I think that would be. I don't know if I don't know. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, maybe, but I just think that would be the coolest thing. You remember that show? Remember that show on TV called House?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, they would always get these weird things, and they'd have to figure it out. But if you could actually get it to where people around the world could, all you got to do is log in and look at the information like that. That's pretty cool stuff to me.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think this is going to really revolutionize how students, in the medical fields, and engineers, how they look at everything and how they collaborate across universities now. It's pretty awesome. So,
and if students get a lot of coins, I don't know how they're structured, but if students get a lot of coins, they can cheat on their math homework.
exactly.
I'm just kidding.
All right, so that's my shout out. So even though if a project does collapse, people are still charging on and building things. So that's great to see.
Exactly, man. It's awesome.
All right, cool. Am I up?
Yeah, you can go.
All right. I am shouting out someone I haven't shouted out in a while, and Nick is a great guy. Hodl Fuel is a great company that's backed by a great guy. Nick is awesome. I've known him online. I haven't met him yet in person. But I've talked to him a lot online. Oh, you have?
Yep.
You met him? Yeah, he super nice guy. I've been with Hodl Fuel for a long time now, and they're doing great things. He is one of the guys in the space that kind of influenced me to like, hey, get out there and start just taking what you're passionate about and just get out there and just start helping people and grow this space. Yes, he's dealing in coffee, but the thing is he's passionate. I mean, even when I first got my first order of coffee, like a week later, he sent me a thank you note, handwritten with a sticker. I mean, that's customer service, man. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So little things like that, I was like, I mean, Nick's on the ball. So this is just the front site. I personally like, I mean, I'm going to shill out my favorite coffee. It's actually Fuck Fiat, which is really, really good for 2 reasons. It tastes good because it's a nice, strong coffee. And of course, I'm not a fan of Fiat. So it kind of works together. But no, the coffee's really good. You got a bunch of different ones. And I actually talked about the short the banks for like a long time. And he made me a cup. And here's the little video I put online a while back. It's a long crypto, short the banks. I actually have the mug at work. I don't have it with me, but it's a nice little.
Awesome.
So when I go get coffee at work, everybody's like, "What's on your mug?" So it gives me a little talking piece of long crypto, short banks. So
Nice.
me and Pompiliano has been on it for a while, so it's kind of cool. So shout out to Nick and Huddle Fuel. Go get yourself some coffee. It's good stuff. So.
Do they use the blockchain in any capacity for their kind of business process, or is it?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
And I'll definitely ask Nick that question because I don't.
In terms of kind of doing like seed to sale or supply chain management kind of.
Yeah. No, that'd be a good question to ask him. I'll ask him that for sure.
All right.
Cool.
All right, Paul.
All right, my shout out is going to be to Roundly X. They are actually in beta. And Roundly X, what it does is it allows you to build wealth in crypto using your spare change. And what this is you will tie your credit cards to the Roundly app. And anytime you use those cards and you swipe, it will actually round up your purchase, and so it takes the change and it puts it right into the crypto you want. They're supporting Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ripple, Bitcoin Cash, and Ethereum. So when you go to swipe your card, and you can even do a 2x or 4x roundup, and that way it's taking your change and it's investing it directly into the cryptocurrency that you want. This project is actually backed by Coin Savage, which they have an amazing platform that you guys should check out as traders. But they do have a leaderboard on there. You can get on. You can talk about your trades. It would be equivalent to the Niffler type guys, the same type of platform. But it's a way for you to look at your performance, have folks follow you, make you a better investor, the whole 9 yards. But I definitely want to give these guys a shout out. Andrew is the guy that I know that backs this. Super sharp guy. They're actually down in Richmond. They actually just recently acquired another company, and I'm going to forget the name of it. Sorry there, Andrew. But it was a local DC company. But they're growing, and they're doing some exciting stuff. But I would encourage everybody to go over, check out roundlyx.com, and yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, it's a pretty cool idea. I like it.
Very cool.
Yeah, it really is. I like it too.
It's like a tangent from like Robin Hood type thing, or not Robin Hood. What's the one where you get your change and you can invest or whatever?
Oh, it was. I think one was called Lawnmower, but I don't think Lawnmower stuck around too long. And I think there was another one out there. I know what you're talking about. There's another one out there.
Yeah, I couldn't remember which ones they were, but no, I like the idea. It's cool.
Yep, me too. All right, I think Bobby might have a lesson for us.
Yeah, let's do it. So I've been getting some questions on Twitter and on TradingView, kind of in terms of more from kind of people who are just starting out in trading. So these are kind of entry-level questions, like what are my favorite indicators? If I were to pick one indicator, what would it be, et cetera, that sort of thing. And so I just wanted to show you my favorite indicator. If I had to pick one indicator to study and to use, and that was the only one that I could use, it would definitely be Bollinger Bands, because it fits, my trading style and how I approach the market. And so, again, what are Bollinger Bands? This is an indicator that's been around for decades now, and it's a statistical indicator that tells you within 95% confidence where the price of Bitcoin is going to be trading at, right? And where the resistances are and where the supports are. And so, again, if I were to just let me blow this up in case you're looking on your phones here. That way I get rid of my RSI, my stochastic as well. And let's get rid of the Fibonacci lines. So if I were just to use one indicator, this is it. This is definitely what I would use as a trader. And so the upper band here is formed. This is plus. This is telling you that anytime prices are approaching this upper band, we are +2 standard deviations from the mean. And so the mean is being calculated in real time as well. And then you have your lower band, which is -2 standard deviations. So when you think of
the mean's 20 days, right?
Since we're looking at the daily chart, thank you. Yes, so this would be your 20-day, center line.
I just want to make sure. I thought that was a 20.
Yep.
I couldn't see it over there on the side.
Okay. Yep. And so the way you can use this is you can use this indicator to identify overbought, oversold conditions, as well as resistances and supports. And you get all of that in this one kind of indicator, right? So, and I'm going to prove that, showing you on the stochastic and RSI as well, how good this is. So you can see, as an example, if we back test this on this big surge that we had here on April 2nd, where the prices went up, we had a nice little run up. Things definitely got overbought, right? And we're looking at the daily chart right now. So let me actually flip over the 2-hour, because I trade on the 2-hour. So you can see here prices in this area here definitely got overbought. If it jumped out of the upper band, so we're way over 2 standard deviations, and then you can see prices kind of retracing back to this, back to the mean. But you see strength in this price, right? So the way I would, the way I typically trade this is I never would buy anything that is outside of the upper band. For me, I'm going to wait for prices to, come back to center and kind of relax a bit, and wait for, it to prove that it can hold above this center line. Because anytime Bitcoin does break through this, the center line of this indicator, that's showing that, there could be a little weakness, or at least a temporary weakness in the market. And if you're a scalp trader, this could be an interesting time to put in a short entry when you see prices, falling below the center line, if it's struggling to hold it. And then, again, if you're looking for buy opportunities, you're looking for that, prices to really kind of fall outside of that lower bound area. And when you look at this from like a 50,000 foot view, like we're looking at here, you can see Bitcoin really respects, right, this indicator to a T. And if we plop, our stochastic and RSI, you can see here, you're getting flashing oversold signals right here on all your indicators. And you're getting buy signals again when the prices do fall below the lower bound. You're getting sell signals again when prices get, a little overheated. And so it's a great way, if I were to kind of if I had to choose one and I wanted to really learn one, this is by far my favorite one. I think it also works great on all time frames, across all different sorts of markets, and all different asset classes. So, that's pretty much just what I wanted to show. Someone asked me what my favorite indicator was, and this is it. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Brian, in terms of how you use Bollinger Bands, or what you think of Bollinger Bands?
I think he might be muted.
I am muted. Sorry about that. No, I use the Bollinger Bands a little bit differently than you do, because you're more on the trading in and out, which makes sense, because that's what you want to use them for. And you're using the standard deviations for your kind of overbought, oversold levels, and then when price comes back down out of the overbought, it gives you a sell signal. Those kind of things. I think that's great. I actually look at it just for the times when it's getting real tight for volatility reasons, because I actually use it for just a volatility indicator, to where when the bands get super, super tight, as you can see right there on this daily right now, when the bands get tight before that real large candle to the upside, it's just saying that we're in a low volatility time. So any kind of explosion of volatility is imminent. So you just kind of keep an eye out for where the price is within that tightness of the band. And in this case, it stayed well above that midline. And then it kind of broke to the upside, and then it got really volatile really fast. So I use it for volatility, just for volatility bands, because I don't use it for trading in and out. It's more for me like a trend following thing. As you guys probably notice, I'm a little bit more of a broad market trend following trader. So I use it for that. So
that's a great point. That I should have mentioned that about the contractions of the bands and how important that is to kind of.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're looking at it from a 2-hour basis, what you're saying is perfect, because you really got to watch that midline and then the overbought oversold levels.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So,
but yeah, I mean, you know, even as a 2-hour trader, though, I still do look at the daily to kind of form the overall context, right, of the market. And so that's a really good point that you bring up, is as people are kind of trying to understand how to use this, or what these different contractions mean. Brian hit the nail on the head. I mean, when you start to see the bands really contracting in a small area like this, that's telling you that volatility is decreasing in the market.
I mean, look at the one up at, what is it, in November, when it got super tight, and then it just dropped like a rock. Yeah. It sort of works the same way as like a triangle pattern. Like if someone's watching a triangle pattern, you're getting tighter into the apex of that pattern, and it has to break out eventually. So when those bands get tight, it's getting to the point where it's going to explode out of there. And what'll happen is it'll break out of one way or the other, and usually it'll hit stops, and it'll bring more interest into the market. And then the next thing you know, you're exploding, and it brings the volatility back to the market. So. That's good stuff.
Right.
That's good stuff.
Yep. And then just one last point too. I mean, obviously, I use Bollinger Bands as one indicator, and then Fibonacci levels, obviously, I overlay on my charts as well to identify those, you know, supports and resistances and possibly interesting buying areas. But, you know, as a trader, you want multiple confirmations, right? So someone just asked me to pick one, but in reality, I'm using the Bollinger Bands to identify overbought, oversold conditions. And then I'm, you know, using my stochastic and RSI down here as just kind of confirmations that I'm looking at the market correctly. So that's all I wanted to show.
Cool.
So should we get over to the TA part, I guess?
I think. Yep, I'll throw my screen back up just so we can. I only have a couple of articles that I want to push you guys' way. The first one actually is from someone we all are familiar with, Yuval Golf. He's from Crypto Potato. Interesting website name, but it's true, Crypto Potato. But what he said this morning, and this came out actually earlier this morning, it said BTC is facing 5,300 for the third time. What's coming up next? And so to be fair with this, he is like Bobby. He trades on very short-term frames. So either 1 day or 4-hour charts is what he's looking at when he's making any mentions about these levels and numbers. But I found it very interesting that he was saying, again, this is the third time in 12 days that we have been in this range. And now what happens is, so right now the market is looking like it might hopefully keep going up. I don't know what you guys think. What do you guys think? Well, I'm sure you can probably get in this when you talk about the charts, but you'll say what's coming next after this level, broken or not broken, or supported or resisted. So that was the first one. The second one is on from zycrypto.com. Crypto analyst says Bitcoin has bottomed and on its way to 8,000. I found this interesting because, again, Delphi Digital had talked about this before, way back in late December, early January, and they, due to looking at the UTXOs or UXTOs or UTXOs, I forget which one it's called, they indicated that we had reached a bottom, that we would bottom in Q1 of 2019. That seems to be the sentiment now. Everyone's coming out saying we bottomed and 8,000 is probably going to be next. So those are the two things that I wanted to pass you guys' way and then get your input on them, and it'll take you right to the charts. But 5,300 breaks, what happens, and can we possibly be on our way to 8,000?
Yeah, I'm game for the 8,000 for sure.
I'll take it.
I mean, a couple of shows back when I was showing my Elliott wave pattern, It looks very optimistic, but it was, the wave pattern takes you to that 8,000 level. But when you look at it, on the chart itself, it gets kind of like, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it's the pattern's there. So if it went to 8,000, it wouldn't surprise me, put it that way. Not that it's going to happen overnight. I would think the earliest it would happen, it would be August, but I would think a little bit more toward the end of the year would probably be the best. If it gets that ball rolling and getting a lot of buying interest in the market. Mm-hmm. But you want me? I'll jump on a chart here. Is that cool?
Yeah. I think now's the time for you guys to explain to us what the heck's going on out there and what should people be paying attention to and looking at for this market going forward. The rest of this weekend and next weekend on forward.
All right, cool. Actually, I did a little midweek recap on this chart. I changed it up a little bit, but not too much. I've been in this, I call it a new realm, because we were kind of down in this realm before when we were down in this 3,600 area or so, or 3,800, and then we kind of popped up, and now we're trading in another realm. And when I say realm, just an area of support and resistance. And I'm still sitting at support at around 48.41, which is the 233 exponential. And I'm still looking at this 377 as resistance, which was just touching it right before we got onto the call here, touching 53.10 as a high, I think. And then we're back down a little bit. It's at 52.76. This is the daily chart on Bitcoin on Coinbase. So we did get above 5,300 again, kind of touching that resistance. There's still momentum in the market, for the ADX. And one thing I like to see here, the ADX is kind of leveling off, but it's in an area of still some strength building for trend. And the green positive directional index it started to drop, but it's actually starting to level up and it's starting to kick back up. I like to see that as prices approaching resistance. So to me, I like it that the buying interest is there and the pressure cooker is starting to build up here to where I feel like we can get enough impetus to push us above the resistance and to get just enough to where we get some stops hit and getting some people interested in going long at this level. I know it's a level that makes sense on a trading aspect because if you're in this realm, it's a good spot to sell if you've bought toward the bottom of that realm, trading it back and forth. But when it comes to the overall trend, I like where it's headed. Even if it drops back down, I still like the 4,800 to be that support level to go forward. But I really think out of this realm, I think it's going to break to the upside before it does to the downside. So I'm still leaning toward that. If it does break, a couple of things. One, the 61.8% level we had a high of 65.40 and a low of 31.28. The 61.8% level is at 52.36 on this move right here. If you draw this arrow across here like I did, this is kind of the resistance that we're in right now. We're trying to break this level. So psychology is if you're short on this resistance level and it breaks to the upside, you're gonna say, okay, I need to get out, so I'm gonna buy. But then again, if you want to be a person that wants to be short the market, where are you going to sell? Well, most likely, since it came down so hard, that next level is that full retracement level of 100%, which is at 65.40, which is really close within $100 range of the 61.8% level of the 84.88 down all the way down to the 3,100. So this whole, I marked it in like a little green rectangle here. This is the zone that I think if we break this resistance point, we could easily get up into the 64.40 to 65.40 range before you find a lot of resistance. I think that's where you're going to find a lot of selling interest there if that breaks, because there's going to be a lot of profit taking. So if we do break this, get up to this range, I think it could break back down to this red trend line as your next key support. And if that holds and all the momentum indicators are still showing bulls are in control, that's when I think it pumps that next time, which could be later into the year, maybe past August, that it'll pump through there. And then that's when we head to the 8,000, which is that full retracement off of the break of the 61.8% level at 64.40. But it really has to get above that level to really get it going. I think a couple of things could happen is if it breaks the 53.05 resistance level and starts getting some kick into it, the 50-day moving average is going to start moving up toward the 200-day, and everybody's talking about that golden cross. I think once that kind of comes into the play and we get some higher prices in there, then you're going to see a lot more people be comfortable getting in long the market. And then I think once you start getting it really going, then you got the FOMO coming in going, I better get into this thing before it goes to 10,000. So I'm moving from my cautiously optimistic. I'll knock off the LY. So I'm just going to be cautious optimistic and not cautiously. I'm getting rid of my cautiousness as we go. But like I said before on my video earlier in the week, this red trend line is my key. If it breaks below that red trend line, I don't want to be long. I'm going to get out of the ones I'm trading. Of course, I got ones that I'm holding for bags, but for my trading, I'm going to be out if it breaks that red trend line to the downside. So that's my BTC daily there on that. Anything you want to touch on there, Bobby, when it comes to BTC?
On the daily, I really like the way the RSI is looking. We talked about on the last show about, people last week were really concerned about things being really overbought and, expecting a kind of, people kind of waiting for that RSI to get back into the oversold condition before they go back again. But we said on the last show that do not be surprised if, RSI, if it does pull back, it may pull back just out of that overbought territory, but ideally we want to see it hold kind of above 60, above that 50 to 60 range, right? And it's done a great job at that. So it's showing that, there's strength right now in this move. And
I just pulled it up on my chart here.
Oh, okay.
The strength is what you're talking about right here.
Right. There's that positive divergence happening. So.
Yep. So I do have a question, guys. I look at a totally probably different chart. I use a website called BitcoinCharts.com. But one of the things that I've always been told or sort of understood is that when you see volume sort of, they call it retrace. It's like the volume will spike up and then it's lower the next day and it's lower the next day. It's like volume is decreasing. We're sort of seeing that now. Does that have any impact on price and where things go as a result? Because I think in the 2 days, the volume has been, it's still been up, it's still been green, but looked like it's been decreasing.
So not necessarily. I mean, I think Brian and I, we mostly focus more on, volumes do obviously play a role, right? You want to, when you, like, for example, when we had that big breakout, it was nice. It's nice to see that the big volumes happening there, but more than anything, we're more focused, I think, on the momentum, right? Which is separate from volume.
Well, and another way you can kind of look at this is, you had the volume, of course, on the big candle to the upside, but one of the things that this could be forming is sort of like a flag pattern. So you get this, you got your flagpole, and then you got this action that's happening in consolidation. Yeah. One thing you do want to see is a drop in volume while that's forming. So if you get and that's kind of what's happening, because if you get a drop in volume while the consolidation's happening, that's a good thing. And then it's sort of like a triangle pattern or anything like that, where you're moving to the apex of a pattern before it breaks back out. Volatility band's getting tight. It's getting to a point where it's going to break out. For all of that to happen, you have to have a reduction in volume to reduce that down. And then once it finally breaks out of that range, which if this is a flag type pattern, it's a continuation of trend pattern, which it should continue the bull trend, which should break to the upside, which would bring the volume back.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
So actually, if you're looking at it from a pattern like that, it makes sense that the volume's reducing a little bit. But one thing that's good is that it's not dropping, it's not falling out of bed with less volume. Like it's not breaking support and just falling, and just people are just waiting for it to fall to 3,000 again. So for it to be holding up here while volume's decreasing, that's a good thing.
Right. And that's what I think the RSI is telling you also, right? That there's still strength in this move. Like if the bears were going to capitulate this market, they should do it in a low volume situation when Bitcoin's consolidating sideways, but they haven't been able to organize and do that. So it's good to see.
Yep. Cool. All
Did you
right.
want to cover? We had a request to cover BAT. I don't know if you saw that on the chat.
BAT?
Singh was asking us, yeah, if we could look at BAT real quick on the daily.
Probably wants it in USD, so I'll probably do that. Because it's on Coinbase, so you can go from USD pretty easily to BAT instead of going for Bitcoin. So I'll try that one. Okay. I don't know if I have it.
Well, you know what? I have a chart. Do you want me to pull up my
You got
chart?
one annotated already?
I mean, it's not brand new. Let's put it that way. I could pull that up if you want.
Let me just look at one thing real quick here.
Yeah, sure.
Since I got it going, I mean, this Fibonacci level right here. Why did that go backwards? All right, you go for it. I don't know what the hell's happening on my chart here.
Sure. Okay. We can flip back over to you once you get it.
Yeah, let me draw it up.
All right. So I am also looking at it from a BAT to USD perspective as well. So BAT's been very strong, right? Since early February. It's been in this really nice ascending kind of chart, ascending channel. And it's really respected this channel. And you could, obviously there's it's followed this kind of Elliott wave pattern. We have a possible ABC kind of correction happening right here. So the way I would look at this is, of course, this depends on what Bitcoin ends up doing as well, right? So, as long as BAT respects this ascending channel, so, as long as it doesn't capitulate down outside of, this bottom part of the channel, I'd say this upward trend is looking great from a, from an indicator standpoint. Obviously, looking at the daily, things are starting to get a little overbought again, but BAT showed a lot of strength on this retracement here. It held above the 50 line, the RSI did, and on the stochastic, things retraced back to neutrality, but you saw strength coming back into the market again. And so, for me as a trader, I don't currently hold BAT. So if I'm looking to get into BAT with fresh entries, I'm looking at this zone right here, maybe around that 32 cents as a possible entry point. That would be a really interesting spot for me to get in possibly. And there isn't enough history for me to pull up the 200-day or the 233, at least using the Coinbase prices. But
yeah, I don't have that either.
But yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. This nice 5-wave structure, ABC, possibly correction happening. Things are getting a little overbought, but things can remain overbought for a long period of time. So if Bitcoin decides to break through 5,300, 5,400, 5,500, I see the train continuing on up.
Yep, and I'm with you.
So,
I got a chart I can show to help validate that too.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take it.
Pop it over here. Yeah, what I got here is we had this. I just went and looked at the chart real quick here. We had this bullish trend back here back in 18 before it started to tank, and then it broke to the downside right here, and this was the leading move on the break to the downside. So you take that as your Fibonacci level for the next wave to the downside for the nice movement. As you can see, the 61.8% levels right here, which kind of you found your selling interest, which now with that holding there, it keeps the market in a bearish move. So we had this blue bearish trend line that went all the way, for a long time, and then we kind of busted through it here a little bit and kind of testing this level, because if you take this high to this low, the 61.8% level and the intersection of this trend line here is an area of kind of like, okay, what are we doing? It's like it's starting to break. And one thing I like is the momentum for the bulls is maintaining as it's breaking. I'd really like to see a high above this 100% level, But if you take the break of this this trend line to the upside and just take the measurement, the reason the arrows are different sizes is because it's a log chart. So it's all based on the percentage of the move. So the move here is the same. This move here is the same in percentage terms. This move here, so the break to the upside here, my first objective, if this break, actually I would want to be long this because it looks like a good thing to be long at the moment. And then you can use this kind of zone in here, or even get up a little tighter to be your guide of support. But if it breaks to the upside here, my target would be 57, almost 58 cents on this break right now. So if you've bought on this break, that would be a good first target. But keep an eye on this 100% level, because you'll find some resistance here, and it'll probably pop down to this trend line. After the test of resistance to the trend line is probably where I would want to buy more if the momentum is still strong for the bulls on that dip. So not financial advice, but definitely the patterns are looking good to the upside.
Yeah, if it does break down to that trend line, that's kind of like that 32-cent range that I was looking at, right around there, to possibly get in as a fresh entry. But I like I really like how it held that 61.8 that you showed there, and if it does kind of trend upwards, that's a nice ascending triangle pattern, right? That's forming on that channel there. Yeah. So it's looking really good.
If you take the full 61.8% level of the whole thing, you're talking 72 cents. So, which matches really nicely with this 100% level here. That could be the ultimate target from this break. But if this would be my first level. So if I bought $1,000 worth here, I might take profit at this point of half of it. I would probably buy back if it's going to hold, and then I would sell it all out at the level if you're kind of trading the trend there. But I don't know. It looks good. I kind of like the way the pattern's forming up. So we'll see what happens.
Believe it or not, there was a BitConnect article talking about the 4 cryptocurrencies having a breakout year against Bitcoin, and BAT happened to be one of them. The other was the Binance Coin, Litecoin, and Tezos. So those were the 4 that are having a breakout year against Bitcoin. So
great,
cool.
Well, we're at an hour. Do you guys want to go through a couple more charts, or do you think we should wrap it up? It's up to you.
I had it's up to, I don't care. I had a couple other charts. I can do a couple other charts real quick. Just show because I know Auger was kind of being talked about. The thing is I have it in actually against BTC on the chart. Not so much the dollar. I know it went up really well with the dollar, but against BTC, actually I did this chart earlier today at lunch, and I like the 61.8% level here. It actually pumped up a little bit, but you found some selling interest here in the near term, coming off of that a little bit. I do like this channel that we're in on the two, the 2 blue trend lines I got going for like a little channel here. But if you're looking at it from a near-term trade, this 61.8% level here was I was looking at for selling interest. I was going to see if it was going to bust through or not. But anything dipping down into the bottom of this channel, I like it because the momentum's still with the bulls. Not so much strong like it's going to go nuts to the upside, but it's going to have a nice little bullish run to it here. I don't know. I'd really like to see a high above this previous high. That would be awesome. And then that's going to tell me that it's really going to start moving, and then it can start getting up to some of those upper areas. But a little bit more near term, I'd buy at the bottom of this channel as long as you got some momentum for the bulls. And then the other chart I had real quick, I had Engine. Engine was one that everybody was, or at least a couple of people were talking about with me. I was just kind of looking at it real quick. Just kind of the history of it here. We had a low here, went up to a high here. 61.8% level was at this point. As you can see, it kind of tested it a few times, tried to break it right here, but as you can tell, the ADX was really low on momentum. So there wasn't like a big break to the downside. It was still kind of in this triangle type pattern that it was being formed, but it did break out, but it broke out into a sideways and not a bullish trend. So it broke because even though you break out from a bearishness and you break this trend line, it could be two different types of trend. It could be flat or it could be bullish. And in this case, without momentum, it went flat. And then you could draw a little trend line here where it broke to the downside. Momentum was starting to build a little bit more for the bears. So you got a little bit more into this bearishness here. But then I was watching the 61.8% level out into the future here. It was this large candle here that busted through it finally. And then you get the 100% level up here, which is at this area, right? It's kind of where we're at the moment. We rallied up really big, and then we retraced. But this retracement is right at the 61.8%. And then we're kind of popping up to this 61.8%. So we're in this little realm right here that I like what the ADX is just starting to do, where the bulls are looking like they want to start to take control. It's a little early, so it's not like I really want to jump on this. But if you start to get a little bit of movement
where's your ADX at? Sorry.
The ADX it's just right on the edge of 1920. Okay. I wanted to get it back into that 20 range, but it looks like it's just starting to loop back up. So if it starts to get into that, I'll kind of like it a little more. If you do buy here, I would be having a short stop on this trend line. So it would be a tight play if you're actually going to trade it. I would actually wait on a day over day basis to see if that indicator is going to give you good data as we go on a day over day. If the next couple of days show you some bullishness, then I would probably want to buy it to where it would pop up to this 61.8% level as a nice little trade here. But if you're a little bit more aggressive, throw a long in there and then put a stop on it on that trend line. But I like the way it rallied up, came back down, and corrected itself pretty close to this nice little range. So nice little area of correction to where it can likely continue this bullish run to the upside. So interesting one to watch.
That's a great chart.
The tough one with this one is, the tough one with this one is I haven't checked it, but I'm sure the order book's pretty small. So you can get really large moves really fast. I don't know. I haven't really checked the whole details of it. I just went to the chart real quick to see what the patterns were showing. So that's what I got for a couple of other charts that people were talking about, just to show a little daily trend of what's going on. So
I like it.
There we are.
Looks good.
Cool.
Well, maybe I'll just run through just a couple charts as well, just to highlight quick support resistance, and that's it. And kind of what to look out for maybe on a 2-hour perspective, more short-term basis. So can you guys see my Ethereum chart, or are we stuck on Brian?
Nope. Oh, there's me again.
Here we go. You should be able to see here in a second.
No, you're up.
Okay, cool. So we are looking at the Ethereum 2-hour. Obviously, I got the Bollinger Bands and stochastic and RSI down below. And so I am long.
Actually, wait a minute. I think it's still on me.
Am I? Let's see here.
What do you think, Paul? Is it still on me?
No, he just cleared it. It's now on the screen.
Oh, okay. No, I see it now.
Are we good?
Yeah, for some reason it was delayed on my end. Sorry about that, man. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. So I am currently long in Ethereum. And so what I'm looking for right now, this is not an area in the immediate term that I'm looking at purchasing. Just, my stochastic and RSI are flashing, sell signals. Again, this is short-term mentality that we're talking about. So I'm looking at the 2-hour. But I am liking the strength, in Ethereum over the last over the last few days. Ever since we dropped off, kind of capitulated down on a 2-hour sense, down to 155, 156. Ethereum really did rally back up through the center line of the Bollinger Bands, and it's pretty much has stayed above that, right? For the most part. So I'm staying long. What I want to see in the immediate term is I want to see 170 hold on the 2-hour. So I'm looking at, when I'm considering what are the local markets? How are the local markets trading? That's why I trade the 2-hour. And so I want to see the 170 hold. You know, for me to kind of reinforce positions, I'm looking at, you know, about 160 to 163 or so, kind of this lower bound of the Bollinger Bands. That's kind of what I'm targeting to you know, reinforce positions. Now, as far as selling, or where I'm placing stop losses, you know, I did kind of buy in this lower range, right? So I have a conservative, or actually a lenient kind of stop loss way down below here, below 149, because I am liking the overall trend in Ethereum, and I don't necessarily want to just, you know, release my positions right away. I think the center line is going to hold, and I want to see this, you know, lower bound range kind of hold as well on the Ethereum chart. So that's what
Hey,
I'm
Bobby,
seeing.
hey,
Yep.
if do me a favor, put a Fibonacci on the low on the 17th there, or the 16th at yeah, right there. Yeah, start there and then go up to the high. No, the other way. The high, the recent high. I wanted to see if that 61.8% matched that bottom of the Bollinger Band.
Got it.
No, back the other way. Yeah, I want to go
Oh,
from
you
the
want
low.
me? Oh, you want me to go from the? Gotcha. Okay.
No, the other way.
Nope.
The low that you're at right now, the low that you're at right now, to the high we just saw the other day, or like a couple hours ago.
Got it.
Yeah, that. What's the 61.8% on that move, on that leg?
It is at 168.
And that matches up with the Bollinger Band there.
It's pretty darn close, yeah.
Yeah. So what I was thinking was, if that midline doesn't hold, that's going to be a really nice buy there on the bottom of the band, like you were saying.
Exactly. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I was just eyeballing and it looked like it was going to be right on. So
no, that's a good point. So yeah, cool. If you're trading short term like me, you know, this could be an interesting kind of buy area, and this is another reason why you want to see this area.
Yeah, I mean, I like the midpoint for sure. I mean, it's a good lesson that you just did the Bollinger Bands and it's showing off pretty good.
Right.
On the Ethereum chart.
So let's just quickly head over to XRP. So you can see XRP is kind of coming back and consolidating again, right? And you can see the volatility is starting to, you know, you can see the bands are starting to kind of tighten up again. Volatility is going down. And so where, you know, I'm not currently long in XRP, but what I'm looking for to go long, if this is something I wanted to get in, I want to see if XRP continues to show strength on the center line, which it currently is. It's testing it right now, which is the 38.2% retracement from the recent high as well. If this continues to hold, and if Bitcoin shows strength at, you know, the 5,250 on up, this could be a possible, you know, a good kind of entry point to get in for a short-term trade with a target around, you know, 35 cents approximately. You know, on the flip side, if it does break through the center line, I'd be looking for entries. You know, we got the 61.8 here, which is testing this lower bound region. So this is where I expect there to be plenty of support, is, you know, right around this 32 cent range. 32 cents to 32.5 cents is where I would, you know, be looking for maybe a buy-in entry if you're looking to go long in XRP.
Yeah, I like this chart setup. I'd be buying here, and I'd be buying if it dipped down to the 61.8%. I like this. I like the way this is setting up. Right.
Yeah, it's definitely showing strength right here, and you got some key fibs as well.
Yep.
That are
what's the ADX look like? Is there any momentum at all? I know it's a 2-hour chart, but
let me look here. Oops, actually, it's on my favorites.
I might be adding to my bags.
I know you like your let's see, directional movement. I know you like your XRP.
That's right. If it breaks out to the upside, I'm going to wear an XRP Army shirt next time. I know Paul's laughing his ass off right now, but he's on mute.
I am, in fact, laughing like crazy.
Yeah, so let's see here. I just wanted to color up my lines. I don't know why. Anytime I, you know, take off the ADX and I bring it on, the color of the lines don't save. I don't know if it's a setting that I need to turn on or what.
Yeah, I'll think about that one. No, I like it. Perfect.
No, I mean, right now
it's got
the
a nice
bulls
consolidation pattern to it with the bulls in control. Boom.
Yeah, the bulls are in control for sure. So
add bags. Right. Add bags.
I like it. So
XRP Army. No, I do like the way the pattern's setting up, though.
You're going to create some enemies. You're going to create some enemies loving XRP so much.
I'm looking at it from the pattern of the market.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's looking great. Real quick on LTC. LTC
Army.
A little bit, yeah, it's looking a bit stronger than XRP, I think. It got kind of in this overbought territory on the Bollinger Band standpoint on the 2 hour. So I'm not a buyer. I wasn't a buyer here, but if I'm able to, if it retraces back to the center line and it shows strength on the center line again, I could be really interested. Anywhere from $80 down to $78 is kind of where I'm keying in for some possible LTC entries.
Yeah, because even if you draw the trend line from that previous low right there, on the way up on the bullish trend, that looks good because it's going to match up really nicely there.
Yeah.
I'd be buying that line for sure.
Yep. So right around $80 or so.
Yep.
Could be a good short term kind of play and see how that goes. So.
Yep. Good call.
All right. Those are the charts on my end.
All right.
Do we have
Paul?
Any other
Paul, did you write all those down? You got all your buy orders in?
I took great notes.
Cool. All right.
Prediction.
Well, wait. Who did anybody win last week, or we all draw?
No, I don't think anybody won.
Okay, we'll call it all draw.
Yep.
Brian was trying to call a win. But...
No. I said a half win because the 233 exponential moving average held. That's the only, right. But that's really not a win. It's still within the same range we've been kind of talking.
Right.
So my call for next week, as you saw on the chart, we break to the upside outside of this realm and get a new high going into the market. So I still like that 5,700 as that speed bump on our way to 6,400 over the next month. So, okay. But for this week, I like the break to the upside versus the downside. But don't get all crazy if it does drop back down a little bit to gather up a little bit more buyers before it happens. But I say upside. In other words, a break of the 377 to the upside before a break to the 233 to the downside. That's my call.
Okay, so your price target then is 5,700 for next week. Is that what you're saying?
I'm gonna get you the number to the penny.
Ooh, wow! Look at this.
All right, you make your call while I'm looking at my chart.
I have the same call as you, pretty much. So.
Okay.
You have to tell me what, because I like the bull flag that's forming on the chart, and I agree with you that 233 should be a really strong support, and I think we break up before we break down. So I'm also eyeing that 5,700 to 5,800 range.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and from my perspective, looking fundamentally, I mean, there's so much bullish news coming out right now that I find it hard to believe that we can have any kind of significant pullback. As a matter of fact, one of the analysts from the news articles, someone came out and said it's going to take us 22 years to reach the next all-time high. And they basically came out and said, you got to be kidding me. It's not going to take us 22 years to reach the next all-time high again. It's going to be like, next couple of years probably.
Right.
I say August.
We have someone on chat, Deja Vu Brewing.
Hey, Deja, what's up, man?
Asking Brian when we're going to moon because he's tired of waiting.
Hey, I'm doing the best I can. I mean, I gave you Elliott Wave all the way to 8,000. That's all I can do for right now. Right now, hold on. I got to get my number. I got to get my number here. Hold on. Yep. I'm getting it. I am going with. Where's my number? I'm going to go. I got some weird shit going on here. I'm going with 5737.08.
Whoo, man.
All right.
To the
Paul's
penny.
gonna have to write that down.
To the penny. I'm gonna write it in the chat. 5737.08. Book it. There we go.
I like it.
I'm impressed.
If it hits, I just shit myself. But hey, I'm going with it. I'm going with I'm trying something new on an indicator. I'm gonna try it out. This is a good way of trying it out. And I'm not showing you because I don't want to show it yet. And if it works, I'll show you what I did.
Yeah.
I'm testing stuff.
I'm going 5,800. So, and the reason I'm going 5,800 is because if you look at that bull flag that's forming, the pattern target is right at 5,800. So that's gonna be my guess for next week.
Cool. And what was yours, Paul?
Level. Mine is just the fact that I think we're going to be heading north from here. What the level is going to be, I don't know. I have no idea what the level. I mean, again, I would like to say 5,700 with everybody else, but the reality is that, you know, again, will it exceed 5,700? Possibly.
By $37.08.
Exactly what Brian just said.
Yeah, I'm just messing. We'll see if it works.
I'll buy that.
Cool. All right. I think that wraps up our predictions, right?
Awesome.
And wraps up the show for today.
Yes,
just want to thank everybody for watching. It was a little bit longer one today, but we had a lot to go through. So hopefully you enjoyed. Hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well. We're constantly posting charts and fundamentals out there on a daily basis. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.
All right. Thank you guys.
All right. Peace out all.
Bye.